Gareth Hughes.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou. Kia ora. I'd like to rise to touch on the last point raised by the last member, which was those satire provisions in the appendix. So, Mr Speaker, when an MP comes to this House and confesses to burning music onto CDs during the middle of a copyright debate, and they don't get the irony, when a member comes to this House and likens the internet to the evil computer from the movie Terminator, they deserve to be satirised. Whenever a politician in this House holds up a snapper, minces down a catwalk, planks live on TV, or says the French love their cock rooster, we deserve to be satirised. Mr Speaker, when I asked an advisor live on television, the now infamous Hey Clint, for media advice in front of a TV camera, I deserve to be satirised. I didn't run those lines past Clint. But Mr Speaker, we deserve to be satirised. The public deserves the right to do that. And for 8 years, this House has hidden behind a ridiculous rule to try and stop it. It was Juvenal who nearly 2,000 years ago said, in times like these, it's difficult not to write satire. And for anyone who thinks that satire is dead or that it can be banned, I'd also like to quote someone else, Robin Williams, who said, or to paraphrase, satire is alive and well, it's kicking in our Parliament. So, Mr Speaker, I rise to support this report, which urges a review of the ridiculous rule, which is Appendix D of the standing orders, which prohibits people from using the publicly available parliamentary TV footage for satire, ridicule and denigration. This was something both the former clerk, the head of the Parliamentary Press Gallery Association proposed, and it's good that we're finally making this step. Now, it's important not to forget that this isn't some ancient relic of the dawn of the television age in New Zealand in the late 60s. This is something only 8 years old in the middle of the internet age. This rule was implemented back in 2007, and Vernon Small said at the time, it seemed to be aimed to protect MPs from themselves. The Green Party tried to vote down this provision. We lost the vote by a tally of 111 to 6. And while this Appendix D has never actually been formally invoked, no one's been hauled in front of the Speaker for contempt, the media have reported that 2 people have been invited into the Speaker's office for a chat about it. And I can testify that it has had a chilling impact in terms of political parties using the footage in this House to make a political point, to contribute to robust political debate. Because I believe that we should be accountable for what we say and what we do in this House. We're here on behalf of the taxpayer. But I guess on the other hand, while it hasn't been used, we have also seen the public still uploading their videos, making their memes, promoting messages about MPs. And while I do believe they should be protected by robust parliamentary rules and a proper Bill of Rights Act, all those people who have taken the mickey out of us, satirised us, ridiculed us, denigrated us, all they've had to defend themselves with is what's known as the Barbara Streisand effect. Now, we've got to remember, we're not just talking about taking the piss or making a joke. We're talking about something which has an honourable tradition. From Aesop to Aristophanes, from Ovid to Orwell, from Voltaire to Vonnegut, it's played an important role in our culture and our democracy and our history. Particularly in this place, in this Parliament, where our decisions impact real people. It's crucial that people can comment on those decisions and that they can use our own words and our actions in this House. So it's a good step that Parliament is making this recommendation. But I would also point out the report states the reasoning for the recommendation is, quote, the current rules risk making Parliament seem out of touch and wary of criticism. No, I absolutely agree. I believe this rule in particular does make Parliament seem out of touch and wary of criticism. But my long-standing opposition to this provision isn't because of how it makes us look. My opposition is because it is not the right thing to do. I believe in freedom of expression. I believe in the public's right to satirise us in a position of power. I believe they have that right. And as the clerk of the House told us, perhaps we just need to grow up. Now, secondly, I note the report only recommends the Standing Orders Committee to review. Now, I challenge all parties in this House to commit to, on that committee, removing this ridiculous rule. So while Parliament has an opportunity to fix our internal rules, to lead when it comes to the freedom of expression and information, we also need to reflect that the public in New Zealand don't have this right as well. Because what we have seen is a lack of satire protections actually be used by the rich and powerful to stifle dissidents and stifle criticism. We've seen it from the former Telecom CEO, Teresa Gadding, who got the Telecon video removed. We saw it at the last election with the Darren Watson Planet Key video. We saw it with politicians tabling legal papers when it came to the civilian website. It highlights the lack of satire or parody protection we have in New Zealand law. It's something the Green Party has drafted legislation to amend. Now, it's something we should also reflect that this is what we talked about earlier this year when we saw the tragic consequences of the Charlie Hebdo massacre, when we saw some noble and fine words said in this House around the importance of freedom of speech and expression. Let's not just make them words. Let's act to clean up our own house, to clean up our own rules, but let's also give those same protections to the citizens of New Zealand. After all, this is what citizens in Australia have, what citizens in America have, and if the government's going to sign us up to a copyright term extensions under the Trans-Pacific Partnership, surely we can have some of the same protections and exemptions which are the norm amongst those other countries, which is fair use. So I'd like to congratulate and acknowledge the members of the committee. I think this is a very positive step. We haven't got there yet. We need to make sure the Standing Orders Committee actually removes the ridiculous rule, Appendix D of the Standing Orders, because ultimately, Mr. Speaker, this isn't about how it makes us look. It's about the public and their rights and their freedoms. Kia ora.
I call Claire Curran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.